In the headlines, a new cultural policy is being developed. Lawmakers debate a bill to modernize Barbados copyright law. A deal inked for a multi-million-dollar expansion of the QEH. And in sports, the Windies forced a series decider against Bangladesh thanks to today's historic Super Over victory.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Tisha Hines with the details to the news. Policymakers are in the process of looking at the development of a new and modern national cultural policy. Minister in the Prime Minister's office with responsibility for culture, Senator Dr. Chantal Monroe-Knight, says extensive consultations have already been completed and preliminary data has been collected. She says the data collected will help to determine what will go into the national cultural policy. Minister Monroe-Knight was addressing the official launch of The Space, a creative studio rental facility at Lansdowne, Christchurch.
That preliminary data shows us a number of things. One, this sector is perhaps one of the most inclusive. The preliminary data shows us that this sector employs a large percentage of women. It is perhaps, again, I say perhaps because again we're only looking at the initial data, one of the largest employers of women in Barbados in the creative space. Yeah? But it's also as well showing that, again, it is also a space for young people within the creative sector.
Minister Monroe-Knight also reveals that the data is showing while Barbados' export of creative services is average, creatives are not putting in the necessary investment.
We're not putting the necessary investment into exporting our creative services. I don't understand why. Carifesta said to us that Barbados, we can compete with any other country regionally and globally, and again, I make no apologies for that. We saw it all on full display. So there has to be something about either our level of confidence or the ways that we need to be able to facilitate that in order to be able to drive Brand Barbados for culture globally.
Local creatives now have a space where their ideas can come to life. They can do so at the Space by digital marketing agency On Brand, which was officially launched today. Our Anesta Henry has that story.
In the quiet Lansdowne Silver Sands Christchurch community is a creative studio rental that provides spaces and services for content creators, photographers, videographers, and podcasters. Minister in the Prime Minister's office with responsibility for culture, Senator Dr. Chantal Monroe-Knight, says the space has been created at a time some young people are not willing to be locked into a traditional box and are looking for avenues and support to innovate new products and platforms.
We're seeing more proposals coming in from young people to do things like podcasts. I met a young gentleman who came again post Carifesta, new machinery to do some other new fancy printing that we've never done here in Barbados before. So the landscape is opening up, and the space then, you have come at just the right moment again as we will, over the next 2 years, the post Carifesta environment again be looking to even more propel culture even further for Barbados.
The space offers professional studio options with different levels of support, from basic space-only rentals to full-day packages that include tech support and a crew. The facility is designed to help creators bring their projects like podcasts, video shoots, and other content to life. Managing Director of the digital marketing agency On Brand Global, Dr. Dana Best, says the space was created against the background that the creative economy is one of the most powerful engines Barbados has for sustainable growth, youth opportunity, and cultural preservation.
Affordable, well-equipped studios and supportive teams that remove friction from production. If you can focus on the craft, you will handle the cables, the cameras, and the calendars. Second, capability. Programs that build skills and confidence, from content intensives and brand clinics to production apprenticeships. We will train people for real industry needs and measurable outcomes. Third, community. Collaboration beats isolation. We will curate partnerships between creators, cultural practitioners, entrepreneurs, and institutions.
And there is a call for creatives to use the space. Founder of Blue Iron Media, Ramat Jean-Pierre, says the space will help to take the creative industry to another level.
What happened here, what we do here, will shape how we move forward. Understand? And it don't make any sense having a space like this and nobody comes and nobody believes that they can achieve here.
Several members of the local creative industry attended the official launch. Onesta Henry, CBC News.
Well, Barbados is bursting with creative talent, but it needs to empower young people to turn that creativity into business. That was the message from Senior Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Carrie Simmons, as he led off debate in the Copyright Bill 2025 in Parliament this morning. He says that, like many developing nations, Barbados is overflowing with artistic potential and heritage assets. What's needed now is to help the youth move from great ideas to thriving enterprises.
But what is missing is two things: that we have not driven home this point sufficiently, that the young people of Barbados, age 16 perhaps, 17, 15, and in that general age category, see as part of the potential development opportunities for themselves a journey that takes them to using their skills, their dreams, their ideas, utilizing them by themselves and translating them into careers of entrepreneurial activity where they can be creating the building blocks, not just for the family today, but for the grandchildren and great-grandchildren tomorrow.
Minister Simmons notes it's not only Barbados that faces this particular problem, but he says the country has fallen short.
It is an indictment on the way in which we have operated as post-colonial parliaments. And it is, Mr. Speaker, a source of concern that we have not gone into the developmental toolbox in a way that allows for us to make sure that our young people are not only educated on some of these issues, but understand how the issues can be worked, how the tools can be used and manipulated for their own personal development, the development of their friends and their communities, Mr. Speaker, and by extension, the development of the country.
Leader Ralph Thorne has commended government's move to empower young people through the new Copyright Bill 2025. But he's warning that material gain should not come at the expense of moral standards. Speaking during the debate in the House of Assembly, he said while young people should be encouraged to harness and monetize their talent, artists must also be mindful of the influence their work has on their audiences, particularly children.
Let us agree to strike a balance, and let us agree to tell young people in this country that they must not pursue the arts and entertainment at the expense of the welfare of their audience, the young people. We had some very young people in here this morning. Some of us paused to have a short word with them, because I think we all love young people and we all care for them and we want to see them do well in a society. This society was well prepared for us, and I think, Your Honor, we are at the stage when we must prepare this society for the youth that are coming after us.
Well, the Copyright Bill 2025 seeks to modernize Barbados copyright laws to better protect creators and promote innovation across the cultural industries. Coming up, we'll tell you about a multi-million-dollar extension to the QEH. The Queen Elizabeth Hospital is getting a $390 million expansion. The documentation was signed yesterday by Minister of Health, the Most Honorable Senator Dr. Jerome Walcott, with a Chinese consortium. The extension to be constructed at the Enmore site is being hailed as an important day in the life of the 60-year-old QEH. Trevor Thorpe reports.
This is what the Enmore site extension will look like once completed. Its development is being described as essential for the QEH, considering the current trends in the health sector. According to Health Minister Dr. the Most Honorable Jerome Walcott, the project is expected to take 42 months to finish. He hopes to break ground before the end of the year.
We thought it was vitally necessary at this stage that we needed a major expansion of that institution. It currently is roughly estimated to have comprised of 50,000 square meters of the present hospital, and this expansion will provide another, I believe, 19,320 square meters. So this is an increase in the size of the hospital by roughly 40%. I think members of the press will be aware of the issues that we've had over time as it relates to the laboratory services and the recurrent issues with the labs and environmental conditions. And certainly after COVID, with the expansion of diseases, new and re-emergent diseases, the lab capacity had to be dealt with.
The Health Minister acknowledged the overcrowding in the wards and assured that the issue would be addressed. He also mentioned plans for expanding outpatient space and implementing other healthcare development initiatives.
This expansion is a facility for 4 more wards, additional 96 beds as it relates to ward space. We have put in a burns unit. Barbados had a burns unit several years ago, but over time it was removed. But with the push towards electrical vehicles, we all know that there are issues as it relates to spontaneous combustion, etc. So this is like planning ahead that we will have a burns unit, of course recognizing how expensive it is to treat persons who've had major burns, in that we would normally have to transfer them overseas, quite expensive rates.
Dr. Walker says the development would change the look of the existing complex as we know it.
It is expected that this construction will comprise of 2 towers linked to the present building by a bridge over the Martindale's Road. So there'll be a bridge over the road linking to the first block, which will be one that will comprise of the lab, the additional wards, the burns unit, the outpatients department. Okay. The other building, which would be just across in Enmore, would be the oncology center and the administrative block, which will house IT, etc.
Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Ryan Strawn, says polyclinics are also included in the healthcare development, which is coming at a cost of US $195 million.
In the past, we've always had people questioning government's borrowing and what you're borrowing for. This specific engagement here this afternoon is to ensure that every Barbadian can have not just world-class medical care in Barbados, but to ensure that we set up this economy, this society, to be able to have the healthiest future possible.
Minister Strawn says the development is securing future health care for all Barbadians and highlights government's significant commitment to improving and safeguarding the nation's health system. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
And the long-awaited linear accelerator, which will provide life-saving treatment for cancer patients, is finally at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. The 11,000-pound machine was delivered today after being moved from storage with a rigging team sent by the supplier to assist the local team. Installation is expected to start on October 27th and be completed by early November, with treatment of the patients to start by the last week of that month. Medical physicist at the QEH, Corey Drakes, who's leading the linear accelerator project, says this is an exciting time for the hospital.
We really are looking forward to treating patients in Barbados again. We know that cancer is time sensitive, so timely treatment is very important. And we were out of the service for almost a year and a half now. Of course, we had some mitigation in place where we would send patients overseas for treatment, etc. But that also requires a lot of coordination. And it may not happen at the rate that we would prefer it to happen, but nevertheless, to welcome back this type of service to Barbados with cutting-edge technology is an exciting moment.
The Grantley Adams International Airport has observed International Day of the Air Traffic Controller. Those working in the tower were celebrated for the important role they play in the airport's operations. Our Anesta Henry and Christopher Wood visited the tower and spent some time with the folks there.
The skies were overcast, but bright faces were in the tower at the Grantley Adams International Airport. Unsung heroes who play a key role in the island's aviation industry were celebrated on International Day of the Air Traffic Controller. GAIA's Chief Executive Officer Hadley Bourne took time out of his busy schedule to spend some time with his colleagues.
It even brings even more immense joy knowing that some of them I would have worked on the board with over the last 30 years, and even some of them I would have taught in school when they first entered the system. But it's a pleasure and joy. As was said earlier, it's always the unsung heroes of the industry. Most persons don't recognize the role that these guys play within the industry. Myself, having come through the system, understands their challenges and the trials that we've endured over the years.
The airport's control tower is the tall building with a unique shaped room at the top that oversees and manages all aircraft movement in the airspace around Barbados. From there, controllers use sight, radar and communication to prevent collisions, coordinate takeoffs and landings, and guide planes to and from the gate. Christopher Mayers is a proud air traffic controller who is happy to serve in such an important role.
We're definitely seeing a change in what's been happening recently. It was great to see that the job applications went out recently. That's something we haven't seen in a long time. So I'm encouraged going forward that soon we'll have the requisite staff fully trained and we'll be able to expand our processes beyond just the average takeoff and landing and into more airspace development or more training opportunities for the industry as a whole.
80% of the work in the tower is done in the radar unit. Those working there speak directly with pilots, giving them instructions on how to climb, descend, slow down, or speed up, whatever may be required to maintain separation and safe order and conduct. This unit is the first point of contact. Air Traffic Controller Officer Lydia Maynard says those who work there are responsible for thousands of lives on a daily basis.
You know, we see it as an honor, basically, to be a part of these individuals' lives, for whatever reason they may be traveling, to have a part in their day-to-day travels.
The radar unit is responsible for a boundary to the north of about 87 nautical miles, 78 to the west, and 68 to the south. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
Sports Night, brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.
Well, Amory Burke is here. That means it's time for sports.
The Power A Dasani BSAT Cross Country Series got going today at the Princess Margaret Secondary School. While the final results aren't in as yet, we still have a report from CBC's Damien Bess, who was there for the action from the Southern Zone run.
We're at the Princess Margaret School in brilliant sunshine for the Power 8 Dasani BSAT Cross Country Series. The South Zone underway with the senior boys. 57 entries doing this 4,000 kilometer circuit. Runners will score points based on their finished place, and only the top 5 runners from each team will score with a maximum of 15 points on offer. This particular zone features Princess Margaret, St. Michael's School, Combermere, Christchurch Foundation, the Lord's School, Graydon Sealy, Parkinson Memorial, Dighton Griffith School, Springer Memorial, St. Winifred's, and the Ann Hill School. Now, these gentlemen completing 2 laps around the field before exiting and taking a route that passes through the 6 Roads Industrial Estate before encircling the Grove Solar Park and returning to base for another 800 meters or so. Well, by the end of the trip, Matthew Bregsley Gall of St. Michael's School had them begging for him to come back, had a definitive lead that in the end would set the stage for his team, who will be looking to rack up the points. The winning time, 15 minutes, 29 seconds. The Law School securing second via Trevon Flexi in 15 minutes, 40 seconds. and he was closely followed by Comomere's Alex Simmons in 15 minutes 41 seconds. Brendan Gill of Foundation and Justin Leacock also of Comomere rounding out the top 5. The senior girls were anxious to get going as well. After some instructions, it's time to attack the 2,500 meter course. 57 entries, and there was no doubt about who was the favorite here. A Carifta Games competitor, Lashia Wilkinson of Princess Margaret School. Kenya Hines of Christchurch Foundation tracking her after 800 meters. Wilkinson, the destroyer, and she would win this one with ease in a time of 9 minutes 56.44 seconds. However, in the grand scheme of this team event, she would need lots of help from her schoolmates. National triathlete Alexis Lashley of the SMS Cougars, a solid second in 10 minutes 39 seconds flat, but the real points were scored by the Foundation duo of Hines, who was third in 10 minutes 53 seconds, and another triathlete in Victoria Bourne, fourth in 11 minutes flat. Trinicia Brand rounded out the top 5 in 11 minutes 02 seconds. Moving smartly along, 74 under 15 boys lined up for the 3,000 meter event. Well, this particular athlete was nestled in the pack, but once he broke free, Sebastian Clark of St. Winifred stole the show. He looked like he could run an extra mile in these grueling conditions. His chest was up and his stride pattern consistent. The winning time, 11 minutes 39 seconds. Deshaun Brown of Comomere was in a ding-dong battle for second place with Brent Lashley of St. Michael's School. The kick for home, the final statement piece, as Brown would get there in 11 minutes 57 seconds. Lashley 11 minutes 59 seconds. And the most important part, Raheem Jement of SMS, fourth in 12 minutes 17 seconds. While Dighton Griffiths' Thierry Thomas was fifth in 12 minutes 26. And finally, on our highlights reel, a whopping 81 entries get going for this, the under 15 girls age group over 2,000 meters. The event was dominated by 2 schools, Christchurch Foundation and SMS. Former Christchurch girls knapsack athlete, now operating a stone's throw away at CCFS, Jendia Burke in her element and handling the business to win in 7 minutes 41 seconds. Tiana Jones of SMS second in 7 minutes 53. Third, Zaka Goddard also of SMS in 7 minutes 57 seconds. Fourth, coming into your picture, Ayofemi Roach of Foundation, 8 minutes 02 seconds, followed by Zora Lane also of CCFS in 8 minutes 50 seconds. And that's a wrap on the South Zone. Damien Best, CBC Sports.
The Business Report, brought to you by the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme, a department of the Ministry of Youth and Community Empowerment, supporting young entrepreneurs from idea to enterprise.
A hobby could turn into big business. Cosmetologist, beautician, and owner of Orium Beauty and Enterprise, Nisha Otterson, has done just that. On tonight's Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme Business Report, the young businesswoman tells Trevor Thorpe she once aspired to be a lawyer.
Orium Beauty and Enterprise is a comprehensive all-in-one business which began as a hobby with the name bearing some significance.
My business is Orium Beauty and Enterprise. Orium is actually Latin, is Latin for golden. And I said beauty because I'm in the beauty industry, and enterprise is for the retailing part because I do manufacturing as well.
Ms. Otterson says before entering the beauty and cosmetic industry, she honed her skills through braiding. It is a proud beginning that laid the foundation for her successful career.
Sometimes think outside the box. I take risks because sometimes they are free. So a lot of things came out of free classes that the government do offer, like community development programs. Sometimes you would do it as an introductory class and you'll realize, oh, I really like this. And sometimes it's not something you are always into. So when I first started, I actually used to braid hair at school. I never thought I would have a business in the beauty field. I actually wanted to be a lawyer when I was younger. And I did not imagine myself here today being certified in all these beauty fields. So sometimes a hobby could turn into a big business, or sometimes you might get introduced to something and you never know, you might grow a love for it, and then you could also incorporate it into your business as well.
The Young Entrepreneurship Scheme was a remarkable assistance in putting her on the road to success.
It actually helped me a lot because it actually took you back to the drawing board, and sometimes you think you know a lot about how to run and manage a business, but when you have to go through the tiny, like where you go through with a fine-tooth comb to see how you will assess your business from manufacturing straight to the storefront, it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot of discipline. It shows you a lot of other ways that you could open up your business as well. So sometimes you would think you would just offer a service, but then you see there are other avenues as well. You could go into retailing, you could go into education. It would have taught me a lot, and being in a group with a lot of other people with businesses from different points of views, it opens up your mind to see how you could always network, you could always collab with others, and then create a bigger business from what you have.
The beauty and cosmetologist says she enjoys the pop-up shows organized with a youth entrepreneurship scheme, and she's hoping to make her presence felt at the events.
I would have just done my first pop-up shop 2 weeks ago with the Yes group in Sky Mall. That was my first pop-up shop, and I would have done massage services and sold massage oils, and it was an excellent experience. I was nervous at first, but then as the middle of the day kicked up, sales were going great, the experience was good, and I would have met a lot of great other entrepreneurs as well.
The young businesswoman says she's easy to find as she's preparing for an overseas show in St. Kitts and Nevis.
You can find me on Instagram. I have 2 Instagram pages. One is Ariam Beauty Barbados, and the other one is Ariam Beauty and Enterprise. I also have a Facebook page for the older persons who are not too into Instagram. I also have a Facebook page, Ariam Beauty and Enterprise. I have a telephone number, 837-1044. You can WhatsApp me. You could regular call me. You could also use the landline if you would like. You could even send me a call me or a message, and I will return the call. You could see me at any pop-up shop, come in, and you could reach out to me as well.
The beauty and cosmetologist and businesswoman says male clients are in her development plans as well as a mobile service. Trevor Thorpe for the Yes Business Report.
Prime Minister Mia Amo-Motley says it's time to confront the growing trust deficit that's undermining the core values and institutions of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD. Speaking as the outgoing chair at the opening of UNCTAD 16 via video link, she stressed that restoring trust must be a key goal. UNCTAD is an intergovernmental organization within the UN that promotes the interests of developing countries in world trade. This year's conference is being held under the theme Shaping the Future, Driving Economic Transformation for Equitable, Inclusive and Sustainable Development.
Underlying this is truth. And underlying truth is evidence and data which coincidentally UNCTAD excels at providing. We need to demystify AI while at the same time creating regulations that allow it to be used for good and not for discord. We must recommit our efforts to addressing the climate crisis. Denying its existence does not make it go away. It does not eradicate the growing intensity of hurricanes or stymie the rising temperatures in the oceans. It does not stop glaciers from melting or narrow the line of climate migrants. The only action that will address the climate crisis is action.
Sports Night, brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.
Time now for the second half of sports. Anne-Marie is back.
Thanks, Tisha. I promised football. Kickstart Rush are the winners of Group D of the Prime Minister's Cup after defeating Paradise in the top of the table clash last night in Gall Hill, St. John. And we'll have a full report later in Newsnight. But still with football, Empire thrashed Technique 10-2 when the Tropic Ace BFA Women's Tournament continued over the weekend at the BFA Turf in Wildy. CBC's Anmar Goodrich Boyce reports.
Empire in the red versus Technique. We pick up the action with Empire already leading 2-0 inside 10 minutes. Technique were trailing but remain in the match. Lovely through ball into Adriana Johnson-Leacock, who takes the shot early and finds the bottom corner, 2-1. But a few minutes later, Empire restored their 2-goal cushion. Series of passes in space before Camila Burke crosses to Tiana Bino, clock it, 3-1 to Empire. The goals kept coming as Technique found it hard to deal with this Empire team, which comprises of several national players. Time now for Rihanna Cyrus to get on the score sheet. Technique must be admired for not giving up and still trying to make the score respectable. Here is Asima Aline with a shot from distance. Keeper stands motionless like a statue. Empire 4, Technique 2 at half-time. Well, the second half is where Empire went into another gear, taking it up a notch. And the final product was another finish by Bino. That's her second of the match. It was one-way traffic. Technique now totally out of it, as Empire were too good. Cyrus with a shot, and it finds the back of the net. 6-2, now the score. Cyrus went on to collect her hat-trick in brilliant fashion a bit later, as Empire went on to blow Technique away, winning by 10-2. Anmar Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
After finishing runners-up last year, Amas Sporting Services of Barbados have entered 2 teams in this year's St. Vincent National Sports Council's Masters T20 Festival. Both teams will be playing in the FET Shield 50 and over division, with last year's second-place team Amas Barbados Masters being captained by Anthony Morris competing in Zone A, while the Amas Barbados veterans, which includes West Indies over 60 all-rounder Emerson Jordan and being skippered by Victor Best, are in Zone B. The tournament begins this Saturday with the final set for November 1st.
Tonight's highlights from the Prime Minister's Cup are coming to you with the compliments of Powerade. Pause is power. And Dasani. Lick first, Dasani after.
Gaw Hill in St. John was the venue for the latest action in the group stage of the Prime Minister's Cup. Top of the table clash in Group D, featuring Paradise and Kickstart Rush. 6 minutes in, let the games begin. Kickstart Rush on the attack. Jamarco Johnson evades his marker and lets fly. That's the opening goal. Kickstart Rush 1, Paradise 0. 11 minutes on the clock now. Kickstart Rush in possession again. Nicholas Best decides to try his luck. Best by name and nature. 2-0 the score. Trouble in Paradise at half-time. The score remained 2-0 for long periods in the second half, thanks to the brilliance of 17-year-old goalkeeper Ben Everett. But Paradise found a lifeline. Christian Gill on target from close range. 2-1 was the final score.
Thank you so much, Anmar. Meantime, Empire and FM4 Pillars exited the Prime Minister's Cup after drawing 0-0 in the opening encounter. And that's news. Thank you for viewing. Do enjoy the rest of your night.